Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. And just want to do a quick little intro to this What If movie, which is basically just the compilation of What If Deku was the reincarnation of Tanjiro, for the people that like to see this more of a movie format. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I really wanted to say. I wanted to say I appreciate all the support and love that I get on these videos. And yeah, that's about it. And I hope y'all enjoy this What If movie. Later. There was once a young boy nearing the age of 4. All he wanted to be was a hero, the best hero, just like the number 1 hero, All Might. His name was Izuku Midoriya, but his life wasn't all smiles and laughter. Midoriya stayed at a friend's house one day, and when he arrived back home, the next morning there were pro-heroes, police, and even pedestrians all around his house. When he approached, he could smell blood from a distance, and his mom and all his siblings came out on stretchers, covered by tarps. Midoriya screamed in anguish, "Mom! Mom! Please wake up! Why?" Midoriya cried so much that day, he seemed to run out of tears. About to be taken to an orphanage, his childhood friend and mother came to the scene of the crime, telling the people that they wanted to adopt him. And after a few months, he was adopted by Bakugo's parents. For the first month or so, Midoriya never really wanted to talk about what happened. And even when he learned that it was just a bunch of random villains that did it, Midoriya still refused to talk more about the subject. One day, Bakugo was showing signs of his quirk, so they took him. But they also took Midoriya as well. Well, I mean, obviously to get checked. It was revealed that Bakugo had an explosion quirk. And for Midoriya, at first glance, it didn't seem like he had a quirk. But then the doctor found a strange occurrence in his lungs. So for young Midoriya here, we seem to have found that his quirk is linked to his breathing. That when he activates this form of breathing, we can hypothesize he could actually control the elements, as well as this breathing giving various physical attributes as well. We know very little about this quirk type, but if something occurs that seems very out of the blue, let us know. They shake their heads in agreement, and Bakugo and Midoriya go home. Midoriya begins to smile. "Ka-chan, I'm so excited. You have such a cool quirk, and I have a quirk that is super unique. We're gonna be such good heroes." Oh, sorry. "We're gonna be such good heroes, Ka-chan." "Izuku, are you okay?" Oh, hey, yeah, I think so, Ka-chan. My mom always told me that when I got my quirk, I could strive to be just like All Might. So this quirk is kind of like her still being here. I'm gonna make the best of the quirk, Ka-chan, and I hope you do the same." Before he can answer, there's a ring at the door. "Izuku, the rest of your family belongings are here." Digging through it, he sees family pictures, past memories, and eventually a sword, seemingly for an adult. He picks it up and it changes from its original color to one that's fully black. While they look at the pictures of his family, he begins to cry, and the water of his own eyes, or of his own tears, stop midair and attract to the sword, seemingly making a wave effect around the sword. He slowly swings it, and the waves on the sword slices across the air as he moves it. "Whoa, Izuku, that's so cool. Thanks, Ka-chan." As they grew up, Bakugo and Midoriya were raised as if they were brothers, and Bakugo always protected Izuku when kids would try and bully him for what they say as a very lame quirk or not flashy at all. When they entered middle school, they started training together, setting the goal that they both will go to UA and become the top 2 heroes. On top of their training, Izuku was sent to learn swordsmanship by a man named Urakodaki, who has been training in the way of the sword for a very long time. While while they're training, Urokodaki was even able to help Izuku hone his water elemental breathing, in which they deemed as water breathing. Urokodaki also brought up the idea that Izuku's breathing could do so much more, but he should learn to constantly use what they deem as concentration breathing. After about 2 years of training, Izuku was done with everything and he needed to know in terms of like swordsmanship. And when walking out, he saw a kid going in with a scar on his face, and for some reason it felt like he knew that kid. Bakugo's and Izuku's training continued, with Izuku learning more about honing his concentration breathing, and even realizing how much concentration constant has helped in stamina growth, strength growth, and many other attributes. Then the day came. Nearing the end of middle school, the teacher began to announce, "I would hand out career aptitude tests, but I know all of you want to go the hero route," throwing all the papers in the sky. Everyone starts flashing their quirks and excitement. Even 2 of our very own will be applying to UA, both Bakugo and Midoriya. Chattering begins to enter the room about how great Bakugo is and how he can get in, but that Midoriya has such a lame quirk and that there's no way he'll get into UA. "Shut up, you damn extras. At least Izuku isn't gonna be some sidekick to some busted D-lister like all of you." The class begins to rage at Bakugo, but the class quiets down after the teacher says to do so. After class, Bakugo and Izuku begin to leave. "Thanks, Kachan, for having my back, but you know I don't mind what people say." "Yeah, I know, Izuku, but they're annoying, and they don't know how much training and work you have gone through." "I know, but it's okay. Hey, can we stop at my family home? I just want to go see how much it has changed." Bakugo agrees, and they head over to Midoriya's old family home, traveling under a bridge. As they walk through, a giant green sludge villain busts out of the sewer. "I need one of your bodies. I didn't know he was here." Midoriya reaches into his bag and pulls out his sword. Izuku, Mom told you not to bring that thing to school." "Sorry, Kachan, but it saves time when we go straight to training." Midoriya unsheaths the sword, and begins to flow, and water begins to flow around it. Water breathing, 6th form, Whirlpool. "What is this, kid? Ah! Kachan, now!" Bakugo blasts the villain, and the villain scatters everywhere. "I am here!" Both surprised, All Might comes blasting through the sewer. "No, wait, All Might?" "Yes, and did you 2 do this?" Yeah, All Might, we did, and because the villain came at us with, killing intent." "Impressive! You 2, I hope you 2 will be applying to UA." They both say they basically are at the same time, and All Might collects the villain and jumps off. Bakugo and Midoriya, on the way to Izuku's old family home, talk about how cool he is in person, and when they reach his old home, they stand in front. "You know, Kachan, all the training we have done it is like the only way I can truly remember my mom. It's actually hard for me to remember her face without seeing pictures. But I really do appreciate what your family has done for me, Kachan." "Damn it, nerd. Don't get all emotional on me. Of course, how could we not take you in? You got us as a family now, but I'm glad you still hold on to those family memories." "You know, Kachan, you know it, Kachan. We can go home now. It was nice to visit." They both head home, and for the next 10 months, they train together, deciding to actually clean Dagobah Beach as a way of cardio. They finished the beach with about 2 months left before the entrance exam, and decided to take the rest of the time to actually study. The day then arrived, and both Bakugo and Izuku head to where the exam will be held. When they arrive, they're talking, and Midoriya slips, but then begins to float. "Sorry about that. I probably should have asked to use my quirk on you, but falling before a big test is bad luck. Well, see you inside. Good luck." Midoriya stood there, just completely in shock. You damn nerd, you should see the look on your face. Shut up, Kachan. They walk in and they get split up for the exam, saying that they will meet up afterwards. The written exam goes pretty well, being that Izuku is pretty smart, and then the practical came. While waiting for the practical to start, Izuku sees the girl that saved him from falling earlier and goes to talk with her. I will not let you sabotage her. No, that's not what I was going to do. Go, 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 go! There's no countdowns in a real battle. Izuku then, ignoring this blue-haired boy, then races off, slashing through robots with his sword. I mean, luckily I got the ability to use my sword cleared by UA. Without it, I would be struggling a lot more right now. Using water-breathing 10th form, Constant Flux, he's able to actually defeat a lot of robots at very high speed, actually, getting about 60 robot points. Then, the huge zero-pointer came out from the building. Seeing this, Izuku begins to run, but then sees the girl he met earlier about to be crushed by it. He runs over to her. You'll be fine, I promise. How are you? What? How? Water breathing. 11th form. Dead calm. From the outside looking in, the teachers can see the zero point robot push forward, but fall back into the building behind it. They all thought that the robot must have malfunctioned, but it was actually the 11th form that Izuku created that pushed the robot back. But from their perspective, none of them can really truly see what happened. The test is called over and Izuku helps the girl, and they exchange names and numbers. Bakugo and him meet up and talk about how they did. After a bit of time, Bakugo gets his acceptance letter saying that he actually got the best score, but Izuku's didn't actually come in until another week of waiting. I am here. Congratulations on your acceptance into UA. You racked in 60 robot points, but also 10 hero points from our hidden category for standing in front of the girl, even in the face of danger. Luckily, the malfunction occurred, but you truly showed your fearless spirit. Welcome to UA. Bakugo hears this and walks in. What is he talking about? Malfunction? You stopped that zero pointer. Yeah, but it's okay, Kachan. They just don't know how my quirk works. After some time, the first day of UA arrives, and Bakugo and Izuku go to school together, getting there early and sitting down together. So what do you think? What are we going to do today, Kachan? I have no clue, but other than orientation, it's just a mystery to me. You over there, take your feet off the table this instant. Or what, Four Eyes? The blue-haired boy then turns to see Midoriya, apologizing for his rudeness before and introduces himself as Ida. Uraka then comes in, saying hi to Midoriya as Aizawa enters. I'm your teacher, Mr. Aizawa. Put on these gym outfits and meet me outside. Everyone obliges, and they head outside after changing. When they get there, Aizawa throws Bakugo a ball. Throw this ball using your quirk. We will be doing a quirk test today. I want to see where all y'all are at this point. Bakugo launches the ball, and it goes 705 meters. Everyone oohs and ahs at what happened, and begins to say everyone begins to say, how much fun is it gonna be? Fun, huh? Well, let's up the stakes. If you get last in this, you're expelled. Izuku, using his concentration breathing and his water style, he inflicts the ball with water breathing, and it helps him launch the ball pretty far, actually, going about 300 meters. Aizawa, shocked, begins to ask Midoriya something. Midoriya, your quirk, what does it do? He then explains to him how he has something to do with elemental breathing, but the breathing part allows him to do various, basically unhuman-like feats. Bakugo then chimes in. Yeah, and that robot that supposedly just fell down over a malfunction, that was one of the nerd's techniques. Aizawa looks at him in shock. Impressive, Midoriya. You really have made that quirk that seems so minuscule as breathing your very own. Thank you, Mr. Aizawa. The rest of the test goes pretty well for Midoriya, actually getting about 6th place, with Mineta getting last. Nobody's getting expelled, so just a logical ruse to make you try harder. Everyone sighs in relief, and the day ends. Bakugo and Midoriya go home, train a bit, and then sleep. When they get to school the next day during class, they see the doors swing open. I am here! Everyone is super excited to see him, and he tells everyone to get their hero costumes on and head to the ground gamma. Izuku comes out with his sword in his sheath, and well, kind of like Tanjiro's clothing, but with like more green on it. When he arrives, All Might begins to explain that they will be doing hero versus villain training, in which the villains will protect the bomb in the building, and the heroes must capture it. It is revealed that Bakugo and Izuku are on one team together, and they are going against Todoroki and Ida, who are the villains. So what's the plan, nerd? Well, basically, Kachan, we can assume that Ida has some sort of engine quirk, probably something to do with his speed, and Todoroki some sort of ice quirk. So what we should do is bait Todoroki into the open, because he probably will try to just take on a head-on approach. So, if anything, we want to get me and him one-on-one. Bakugo agrees, and the training starts. And they head up the building. And once they begin to head up the building, it gets covered in ice, just like how Izuku thought. Izuku, on purpose, gets frozen, while Bakugo heads out through the outside using explosions. Todoroki comes down to see Izuku trapped and goes to put the capture tape on, but then his sword lights ablaze, melting the ice that had him stuck. Using what he deemed as fire breathing, he even cuts Todoroki, even leaving a little burn mark on his arm. Todoroki tries to freeze Midoriya, but even with a close corridor, he is too fast. Until they all hear, "Hero Team wins!" Bakugo actually was able to touch the bomb, while Izuku kept Todoroki far away from it. It is deemed that Bakugo and Midoriya are actually the co-MVPs for their amazing execution of that seemingly simple plan, but it still went flawlessly. After their class went, the rest of the class went, the day was then over. After some, after school training, the next day then came. And the class president and vice were selected, being Ida and Momo. Okay, class, today we'll be heading over to the USJ to do rescue training. More will be explained when we arrive. The class then takes a bus to the USJ, and when they arrive, they are greeted by Pro Hero 13. But Midoriya begins to smell something in the air. Aizawa, something is coming. We have to get out of here. Midoriya, what are you talking about? A portal opens and tons of villains come pouring out of it. That's what I'm talking about. Aizawa jumps into action and begins to fend off the villains that just came out of a giant portal. Pro Hero 13 tries to get everyone out, but then is stopped by a warp villain by the name of Kurogiri. 13 goes to use her quirk, but before she could, Bakugo and Kirishima jump into attack the villain, but they're sucked into the portal. The warp villain then transports everyone to different areas of the USJ, sending Midoriya to an area with water and a boat in the center. He's grabbed by Sue, and she explains that they have to figure out a way to get off the boat. They must not know our quirks then, because they sent you and me to a place with water. I can control the water somewhat below to suck all the villains into a whirlpool. We just need to get them all stuck together. Mideta tells them that he can throw his sticky balls while he continues to cry because of him having so much fear of the villains. Midoriya then sets their plan into action. He jumps off, then uses water breathing, Sixth form, Whirlpool. Sue grabs Midoriya with her tongue, and Mineta traps all the water villains in the Whirlpool using his sticky balls. The group then heads over to where Aizawa has been fighting, looking to see if he needs help. They see him handling his own very well until a monster comes and punches Aizawa into the wall. Midoriya, out of pure instinct, began to jump into action, slicing into the Nomu's arm, but the sword doesn't slice completely through it. Midoriya jumps toward Aizawa and stands in front of him. Mr. Aizawa, are you okay? Midoriya, you can't be fighting. Let me handle this. No, I won't let anyone die here. Please, let me fight with you. Okay, problem child. Let's do it. Midoriya takes a stance and begins to fight the Nomu. Aizawa begins to take away the Nomu's quirks, allowing Midoriya to fight on a relative even playing field with the Nomu. Water breathing, 11th form, dead calm. This is the technique the kid was talking about. It's amazing. Nomu then tries to push forward, but as he moves, his body begins to slowly tear into pieces. Damn it, this isn't enough. But I got an idea, but this is gonna hurt. Midoriya gets into a running-like stance. Thunder breathing, first form, thunderclap and flash. He dashes forward, slicing at the Nomu. The water surrounding the Nomu becomes electrified as Midoriya charges in. In an instant, when he slices through the Nomu, it electrifies the monster constantly while surrounded by the water. Oh, it worked. Thank God. Midoriya then falls to the ground. Ouch, ow, 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 my body hurts bad. I am here. All Might, seeing the Nomu completely stunned from an attack, takes the chance to launch it out of the USJ. What? This can't be happening. Wait, what? This can't be happening. This little twerp helped beat my Nomu? How? He's just an NPC. Kaligiri, we must leave now. This isn't the best time for us to kill the symbol of peace. The warp villain then transports them away, leaving the rest of the villains to fend for themselves, but are cleaned up pretty easily when the heroes arrive. The class then has 2 days off, due to the incident obviously, and Midoriya and Bakugo talk about what happened. So what, you basically beat that big monster, huh? Huh, you damn nerd. Yeah, but like, with help, of course. You combine 2 breathing styles as well. You need to work on that so your body doesn't completely crash again. Midoriya agrees, and for the next 2 days, they train to help him control 2 different breathing styles together. But they don't get too far into training because of, obviously, the limited time. They then go back to school, and Aizawa begins to explain to them the UA Sports Festival is coming up. Tomorrow, as everyone knows, is the UA Sports Festival, where everyone will be able to see your quirks. Be ready to impress, because this will determine how many internship offers you receive. Everyone shakes their heads, and the next day came, and the UA Sports Festival is underway. Class 1A is called out to the stage to a roaring crowd as Bakugo is then called up to the podium as the class rep. All I'm gonna say is I'm gonna win. The crowd in every class begins to boo at the remark as Midoriya kind of just laughs, but he walks off the stage without a care. How did I know you would say something like that? Shut up, nerd. It doesn't matter what these people think. The first event is announced as an obstacle race. Midnight tells everyone to line up, and then is announced the start of the race. Everyone runs, but when they enter this crowded corridor, ice begins to freeze their feet. Midoriya quickly melts the ice that had him stuck and continues on chasing after Bakugo and Todoroki, who are both ahead of him. Using his concentration breathing, it allows for him to pick up his speed far beyond normal, and he slowly was able to catch up as they passed the robots, the ravine, and finally entering the final obstacle. Using his heightened sense of smell, though, he's actually able to locate all the landmines, and he's able to basically just hop around them to run freely, forcing Bakugo and Shoto to respectively use their own methods to pass as quick as possible. They catch up to Midoriya and they all begin to fight for first place. And as they all stumble across the finish line, Bakugo finishes first, Midoriya second, and Shoto third. All the contestants then finish, and it is announced that first will have 10 million points in the next event, called the Cavalry Battle. Everyone begins to create their teams as Midoriya approaches Bakugo. So, crazy idea. How about just me and you? Make it more fun that way? What do you think? Damn nerd, why you make things more challenging? I mean, it's like a training exercise. Fine, I'm game. All the teams fill, and Bakugo and Midoriya are together for this battle. The fight starts, and they charge, and all these teams, many teams, charge at them, including Shoto's team, Tetsu's, and obviously many more. Right when they charge in, Bakugo begins to explode the ground around them, creating a massive amount of smoke. And as he does this, using his fire elemental breathing, he creates a cloak of flames that surround them, and it pushes the smoke at everyone, creating a massive smoke screen that also begins to burn them as well. Everyone retreats, and Midoriya begins to emit a flaming aura that seems as hot as the sun. Every time a team would even like get close to them, Bakugo's explosions would send them flying, like they were even stronger than before. This is a combo move that they call Overheat, in which using the heat from Midoriya, it makes Bakugo sweat even more, creating even bigger explosions than before. After the 5 minutes are over, they still hold on to their 10 million points, making them the winners of the Cavalry Battle. The 1 versus 1 battles are then announced, and Midoriya is matched up with Shinso from the General Studies. Before the match, Midoriya is told that once you respond to a question he asks, he can put you in some sort of trance. The guy begins, and Midoriya lights his sword on fire, seemingly planning something. That guy with the tail was going on about his pride. To me, I think he's just an idiot. No response comes. It must be nice having a blessed quirk like your own, being able to stand out so much. But me, my quirk isn't flashy at all. Say something. What? Don't tell me you have a great quirk and great self-control? Let me guess. Great parents too? Amazing life? Midoriya looks at him and decides to respond anyway, knowing the consequences of doing so. I don't have parents, Shinso. His mind control takes over, but as the mind control starts, it ends. The flame on his sword was placed in a way that would slightly be able to burn his hand, knowing that this may be a way to snap himself out of the mind control. And Midoriya begins to talk. Look, Shinso, my parents are dead, killed by some cruddy villains, but I try to always keep the smile on my face, to stay positive. I would say calling me lucky and blessed and having an amazing life isn't necessarily wrong, but to think it came that way would be very naive. Before you talk again, Shinso, your quirk is very unique. I can see you becoming a great hero. Okay, with that said, Midoriya then just walks off the stage, and President Mike announces that Shinso's the winner? I'm not big on gladiator type one-on-one fights anyways. Good luck, Shinso. Midoriya walks away, and when he gets back to the stands, Bakugo begins to yell at him. Then he stops, knowing that he obviously has a reason for this choice. But the fights then finish, and Bakugo is deemed as the winner of the sports festival. Midoriya congratulates him, and they celebrate that night. Not before Bakugo's parents scold Midoriya, though. Well, mostly his mother, for giving that Shinso kid the win. The next day comes, and Aizawa reveals all the internship offers. It shows that Bakugo and Shoto got the mass majority of them, but Midoriya actually still got 900. Whoa, 900? I thought quitting early would have given me way less than that. Okay, now for the time for the second part of class. We will be choosing your hero names. Since, I suck at this part, Midnight will be helping you. She enters the room and tells everyone to write their names on a whiteboard. It eventually gets to Midoriya, and he decides on the name, the Elemental Breath Hero, Tanjiro. People begin to ask why, and he tells them that it means high-valued second son, and that it pays respect to the people who took him in as a child, and that it just sounds fitting for some reason. The class then is told to make sure to choose their internships very soon. Midoriya begins to go over all his offers that he got, and then sees one that catches his eye. One from a hero he had no clue would even have interest in him. The pro hero sent a car the next day for both him and another student by the name of Shoto Todoroki. The number 2 pro hero, Endeavor, requested for both his son, but also Midoriya. When they arrive, Endeavor makes his intentions clear. You are just here to help my son get over his fire tantrum. That is all. Todoroki sighs in annoyance, and Midoriya can literally smell the hatred in Shoto. I only picked you because I know you wield some sort of fire power yourself. Midoriya explains that he can control most elements, actually, but fire is one of the more powerful ones he has. Endeavor makes them spar for a while, and Midoriya gets to talk to Shoto about why he doesn't use his powers, or his right side. He begins to explain that his father is horrible, and that he refuses to use a power given to him by his father. Wow. When I got my quirk, I thought it was a symbol of what my mom wanted me to be when I grew up, and how so I can just follow my dreams how I see fit. Shoto asks why he's saying everything in past tense, and he tells him that his whole family was killed when he was 4, and Bakugo's family adopted him. The sparring continued, and through that narrative alone, it got Shoto to realize that his power can be used for something far beyond his father, and even himself. That his power could truly be his own. He thanks Midoriya, and as the day proceeded, Endeavor told them that they would be going to Hosu to hunt down the hero killer. When they arrived, the area was in chaos. Everyone squirming and fighting, and Nomus everywhere. They begin to help people, but Midoriya smells something. Something with such killing intent that it could possibly be the hero killer. Endeavor, Shoto, I know where the hero killer is. What? What are you talking about, kid? How could you possibly know that? No time to explain. We have to go now. Midoriya begins racing down the streets until he comes across an alleyway. The hero killer stands there, with 2 bodies laying on the ground, both dead. Midoriya kicks him away, looking to see a pro hero dead, but also his classmate, Ida, laying on the ground. Ida, why? How? He wanted revenge. And that isn't very hero-like, if I say so myself. A sword, kid, huh? Let's see who's better with it. They begin to fight, and Midoriya is able to keep up with the speed of Stain using his concentration breathing. Damn it, I have to stall. I can't win at this rate. Water breathing. 11th form. Dead calm. Stain begins to look around to see himself surrounded by water, and in an instant, Midoriya jumps into action. Thunder breathing. First form. Thunderclap and flash. He uses this, allowing himself to slow down the hero killer immensely, but he had to restrict the amount of strength he used in this form because of the immense damage it would do to his body. He then shocks the hero killer, stunning him just enough until a huge blast of flames come and hit him, knocking him out. Endeavor finally arrives, finishing the hero killer off, putting him in cuffs and bringing him into police custody. The credit then is decided to go to Endeavor, so that Midoriya wouldn't get in trouble. But then the news of Ida's death was told to Class 1A. Everyone is invited to a funeral for him, and they mourn together at the funeral, realizing that his death, that they must push even harder to become better heroes, to not seek revenge, but to seek for justice, and to seek to help others. After a bit of a break from school, everyone comes back after a couple days. Okay, class. Your final exam is coming up. The written portion is first, so make sure to study. Then there will be a practical as well. The class then studies for a couple days, and Midoriya takes his written final exam, in which he feels he did pretty good on. Then the students are called to the gym, and Aizawa begins to explain what the practical will be about, and that if they want to go to the Forest Lodge, that they must pass the practical. It is announced that it will be 2 students versus 1 teacher. Every team is announced until it got to Midoriya. Bakugo and Midoriya, you two will be going against our very own symbol of peace, All Might. All Might comes flying in. I am here! Bakugo and Midoriya smile in excitement and begin to form a plan while waiting for their turn. Alright, what do you think, nerd? Well, I have an idea, but if it goes off the rails, we most likely will lose. So if it all goes bad, you need to be able to blast your way out and make it out the exit. Okay, what do you have in mind? All the fights finish, and now it's time for the last fight. Midoriya and Bakugo begin to head to the exit, knowing that All Might must be waiting for them. Bakugo heads up to the buildings, and when he sees All Might, he begins to blast explosions at All Might, making tons of smoke covering the area, not actually trying to hit All Might himself. Bakugo drops down toward Midoriya and grabs his shoulder. Water breathing, 11th form, dead calm. The smoke clears, and both Bakugo and Midoriya stand in front of All Might. But he seems to be slower. All Might thinks to himself that this technique seemingly is weighing him down. Midoriya begins to heat up the area with his fire breathing, making the water turn to steam. Bakugo charges forward, blasting All Might with explosions. All Might begins to realize that every explosion feels stronger and stronger. About to hit Bakugo away, Midoriya charges in with thunder breathing, first form, slicing at All Might with his sword, electrocuting him. Midoriya down for the count at this point. Bakugo basically blasts in, cuffing All Might. Bakugo and Midoriya pass. Both of them pass out basically from overusage of for one, Midoriya's quirk using 3 different techniques, but also Bakugo's, because just because he was sweating more doesn't mean that using his explosions doesn't wear and tear his body. After some time, and obviously some recovery time, Class 1A hops on a bus and heads over to the Forest Lodge. Before they make it there, they all stop to meet the Wild Pussycats. Aizawa tells them that they will be helping in their training. Midoriya walks over to the edge of the cliff and begins to smell something off one of the Wild Pussycats. You're gonna throw us off this mountain, huh? Everyone looks at him like he's crazy, but he decides for himself to just jump off, landing on the ground. He looks up to see a wave of students come flying into the forest. Well, I guess the training camp starts now. The rest of his class lands on the ground, and everyone begins to run through the forest, fighting off various monsters created by Pixie Bob. When they emerge at the campground, everyone is extremely bruised and tired. Aizawa tells them that they will be having food, and then the day will be over for now. Midoriya sees a kid and walks over to him, introducing himself. Hi, my name is Midoriya. What's yours? The kid goes to punch him in, well, the family jewels, but Midoriya easily dodges, telling him that wasn't very nice. It is then explained to him that the kid's name is Koda, and that he doesn't like heroes at all, and that his parents died to a villain attack a little while back, and now he just holds this grudge. Midoriya then says that he lost his whole family to a villain attack as well, which shocks the Wild Pussycats, but Midoriya walks away to go basically just meet up with the rest of his class. The day ends, and when the next day arrives, Aizawa explains that everyone will be doing their own specialized training. Everyone enters their training, but Aizawa explains what he wants Midoriya to do. Midoriya, I want you to work on a combination of breathings by using different forms of different types of elements for long periods of time. I'm sure this will be difficult in the beginning, but it will make your attacks a lot more effective and should increase your stamina from what I understand about how your quirk works. Midoriya shakes his head and begins to train. During his training, he begins to use his water breathing, creating a spiral of water around him, and then a spiral fire that surrounds him. He tries to hold both of these at the same time, allowing him to create insanely powerful combo moves, but at the same time increasing his overall strength and stamina by a lot. After about one more day of training, night approached, and some people were eating for food for dinner, and others were participating in this act of courage. Midoriya realized that Kota left without eating any food, so following his scent, he found the mountain that he was at. Kota, it's me, Midoriya. I brought you some food. Kota comes out. How did you find me? I have a pretty good sense of smell. Kota, I have a question for you. Why do you hate heroes so much? Kota explains what happened to his parents and how they died while on duty. Well, I guess you and me are basically the same. What, how? My parents were killed by some villains when I was just 4 years old. And frankly, that is the reason why I want to be a hero. Kota looks at him in shock. Very admirable kid. But you just sound weak to me. Midoriya grabs Kota, dashing away while this huge man tries to swing and hit them both. Kota, run! You have to run! Midoriya begins to fight the villain by the name of Muscular. Damn, I'm exhausted from all that training, but I need to make sure Kota is safe. Water breathing, 11th form, dead calm. Water continues to swirl around Midoriya. What, kid, you think a little water pressure is gonna save you? Muscular tries to charge in, but he's a lot slower than before. What? Why am I so slow? Midoriya's fire begins to swirl around him as well, heating up the water around him. Tell me, why are you here? Why would I tell you that, kid? Because I'm gonna cook you like a lobster if you don't tell me why you're attacking my class. You're bluffing. Midoriya begins to engulf the water with flames, heating it up even quicker. Okay. We're here for that Bakugo kid. And you. Midoriya, as he hears this, is just completely shut out everything else and begins to use a brand new breathing form. Breathing form, clear blue sky. A 360 of flames travel to Muscular, making him go completely unconscious and basically in a state of stasis. Midoriya begins to run faster than he has ever ran before, seeing Aizawa explaining to him that they are after Bakugo, not telling him that they actually are after him as well. Midoriya dashes off, finding his classmates, chasing someone. He sees them and they yell, "They have Bakugo!" Midoriya's sword lights a blaze and his eyes flash red, but then fade back to its normal green. For breathing form, dancing flash! He suddenly is in front of Mr. Compress, cutting off one of his hands, and the marbles drop. Damn, kid! I can tell you have my brother. You still have Kachan. Give him back! Using his hilt of his sword, he smashes it into Mr. Compress, and he spits out the marbles hidden in his mouth. Bakugo emerges out of the marble and blasts the villain in the face with an explosion. Compress runs, and the villains seemingly retreat. They make it to the camp, seeing that all the villains are gone, and they retreated, after the plan obviously failed. We have to go, problem children. They leave, and when they arrive into the city, there is a big screen showing a fight between All Might and All for One. Midoriya looks at Aizawa. Where's that happening? Midoriya, you know I can't tell you that. And plus, I don't even know. Why is no one helping him? They are outmatched, Midoriya. And don't even think about it. They all get out to watch the big screen. And as they watch Midoriya, Midoriya realizes how close they actually are. Seeing a building that looks very familiar to him. He whispers to himself, that's only like half a mile away. I'm sorry, Aizawa. Punish me later. What? Kid? Bakugo looks at him. There's no stop. there's no stopping him. It's just nature at this point. But I promise he won't die. Oh, hopefully. Midoriya, about 1 minute later, enters the picture. Young Midoriya, what are you doing here? Something really dumb. Who is this All Might? Oh, who is this All Might? Your successor? A student? Don't matter. He will die with you. Midoriya stands by All Might. Grab my shoulder. All Might remembers what Bakugo and him did during the final exam, and he listens. Water breathing, 11th form, dead calm. What is this? It's so minuscule. All for One begins to walk forward, but both of them can tell he is slightly slower now. All Might then disappears from sight, and All for One begins to look around trying to find him. Thunder breathing, 5th form, heat lightning. Launching basically lightning strikes at him and heating up the water on top of it. All for One gets slightly paralyzed, but then he shoots tendrils at Midoriya, stabbing him through like the shoulder and his leg. All Might then reappears. United States of Smash! Landing a clean blow on a stunned All for One, knocking him out cold. Midoriya then wakes up in Recovery Girl's office. She catches him up on what actually happened and asks if he's okay. Once he says, yeah, like that I think he's okay, and she just slaps him across the face, telling him not to do something crazy like that ever again. How long have I been out? Well, about a week. Actually, the classes have moved into dorms. Don't worry, Bakugo already moved your stuff in. Midoriya walks out the door to see Bakugo about to enter. Bakugo punches him in the chest. Damn nerd, you're freaking crazy. What? Whoa. Were you worried, Kachan? Whatever, nerd. Let's go. After everyone greets Midoriya back into the dorms, and All Might visits him, thanking him for the help, but that what he did was extremely risky, and he really shouldn't do things like that. But at the end of the day, he told Midoriya that he helped him a lot. Class then began once again. Okay, children, listen up. We will be working on our super move training today, and for some of the week as well. We will also be participating in the Provisional license exam later in the week. The class goes to the gym and they begin to work on super moves. Midoriya begins to work on some things he thinks about, and he wonders if he's actually going to be able to do it. Instead of channeling his elements through his sword, what if he tries to adapt it throughout his whole body, adding basically a whole new fighting style without his sword? After a couple of days, he's been working on that, and the provisional licensing exam came, and Class 1A went and was greeted by someone from another school. Everyone greeted him back until Midoriya walked up. I can smell that this is a fake greeting from literally a mile away. Bakugo then walks up and, yeah, scram, you extra. They question him, but they realize that that basically Midoriya can sense how people truly feel with, well, his sense of smell. They walk into the exam site, and the proctor explains that the first test will deal with everyone having 3 lights on their body, and they must turn off 6 other lights to pass. like to the next part. Midoriya walks over to Bakugo before it starts. Yo, Kachan, you want to work together? Yeah, whatever, nerd. Just don't slow me down. Yeah. Don't slow you down. I know. They head off, and a group of ninja-looking people show up. Bakugo then begins to say something. Okay, what is this? Some TV show now? What are you wearing? Midoriya puts his sword away. You damn nerd. That is pretty cocky. No. I've been working on something. Midoriya dashes upward as these large items begin to get thrown at him. They start small, but as another quirk activates, it makes them 10 times bigger than before. Bakugo falls behind, charging in, blasting one in the face, and as Midoriya kicks another in his body, covering him in static and basically paralyzing him. He backs up, and his whole body, or Midoriya's whole body, is basically under the state of like thunder breathing. Midoriya gets hit though with a large bolt, and Bakugo blasts it off of him, catching him as he turns off his thunder breathing. Explode-a-bolt! Midoriya begins to have fire engulf him slightly, and when he hits the ground, the fire spreads in an explosion, knocking out all the ninjas. They turn off, they tag all their lights, and Bakugo tells Midoriya that he needs to work on the technique a little more. But it's pretty useful for group battles. Midoriya shakes his head and thanks him as they basically just wait for the next test. The rest of Class 1A passes, and the next event is announced as the rescue portion. As the students walk out, and Midoriya begins to help in the aid of evacuating the actors or the people playing the distressed people, after a bit of rescuing, an alarm begins to sound. A bunch of villains emerge, as well as Gang Orca himself. Midoriya puts down a child in the rescue area and begins to see a student from Shuketsu High get completely blasted by Gang Orca. Todoroki and another student by the name of Inasa step up to fight, but their abilities begin to clash with each other, and they begin to argue. Gang Orca is about to knock them out, but Midoriya jumps in, slicing at Gang Orca. Midoriya yells at them to focus and stop being dumb. Both of you, attack again, but right in front of me, now! They hesitate but listen as they're questioning why would they just attack in front of him. As they blast both of their quirks, their fire and their wind, it doesn't cancel each other out. Actually, the wind and fire will begin to swirl around Midoriya's sword. Midoriya redirects it toward Gang Orca, blasting him with it. As this happens, water begins to surround them both as Midoriya uses his water breathing 11th form, making it so Gang Orca can't just dodge out of the way. Then the speakers turn on. The exam is over now. Please make your way to the exit. Midoriya stops fighting, and Gang Orca nods at him in acknowledgement, and showing that he's impressed with the plan that Midoriya came up with basically on the fly. Basically saving the other two students from just completely failing in terms of the 2-on-1 fight that was about to happen. The results are announced and Midoriya passes. The only people who actually don't pass are, well, this doesn't change, Inasa and Todoroki, due to obviously their arguing. The rest of the week passes, and when the next week starts, Aizawa explains the plan. Okay, problem children, this is the big three of UA, and they will be explaining your work studies. The first guy, by the name of Tamaki, initially tries to explain, but then gets stage fright. Nejire, which is the female of the group, tries as well, but then gets distracted and begins to ask questions and wants to do a Q&A. Aizawa, obviously frustrated, then Mirio decides basically just to tell everyone to meet him at the gym so that they could fight. As the fight starts, almost everyone in Class 1A is knocked out pretty quickly except for Bakugo and Midoriya. They both look at each other ready to continue the fight, just the two of them. But, okay, that is enough for today. But Mr. Aizawa, go back to class, problem children. They all go back and Mirio basically begins to explain that he has gotten this strong because of his work study with Sir Night Eye and at his agency. Everyone gasped talking about talking about Night Eye and saying how crazy it is that he works with Sir Night Eye. The class ends and Aizawa tells them to pick a work study to apply for as soon as possible. Midoriya walks outside as Mirio approaches him. You're Midoriya, right? Yeah, that's me. Why? Well, I've been requested by Sir Night Eye himself to take you to his agency. Whoa, seriously? They head over and Night Eye greets Midoriya and tells him the rest to basically just leave the room so that they can talk. So, Midoriya, I've heard many good things about you throughout this year, but I wasn't too sure about it until I saw you help All Might fight All for One, when no other hero would step in. A bit reckless, but very impressive. I would like to offer you a spot in my work study. I feel like you could benefit greatly from my work study, as well as I can benefit from your work. I would love to join your agency for a work study. I'm a big fan of you and how much you do for our society. Thank you, Midoriya. Well, I will sign your paper and you will begin patrolling tomorrow with Mirio. The next day came and Night Eye explains that they have been looking for a villain by the name of Overhaul, and he shows a picture. And that they say that Overhaul is the leader of a gang called the Shiha Hazaikai. And that if they come across him, that they are not to fight him at all, or basically they want to avoid him at all costs. They both leave and the patrol is mostly uneventful and they just begin to talk about things. So Mirio, what is your quirk exactly? He explains that his quirk is called permeation, and how he basically phases in and out of objects. Yeah, but what about when you were fighting us? Your strength seemingly increased when you're fighting the stronger members of my class. Before he can answer, a little girl comes stumbling out of the alleyway, falling into Midoriya. Oh, are you okay, little one? She grabs Midoriya and holds on seemingly for dear life. Sorry about my daughter. She's a bit clumsy at times. They realize and recognize him as Overhaul. Mirio begins to diffuse the situation by acting as if, yeah, like I understand like how kids can be sometimes. Midoriya begins to inspect the little girl, seeing she's covered in bandages. Sir, is your daughter okay? Yeah, I just yelled at her, so she's a little spooked at the moment. The little girl grips harder as if the man just said a lie. Midoriya can smell the fear on Eri and just smell all the foul play all over Overhaul. Overhaul begins to take off a glove. You know, mister, my little sister was just as cute as your daughter. Kids are adorable, huh? Yes, quite so. So tell me, why did you hurt her? In an instant, Midoriya headbutts Overhaul, launching him backwards. Midoriya, what are you doing? Get Eri to Night Eye's agency. Trust me, Mirio. Go. Now. So what, kid? You can smell killing intent or what? You can say that. But I'm not here to talk. Their fight begins as spikes begin to get launched at Midoriya as he uses his constant flux water breathing technique basically to dodge and slice through all the spikes and basically close the distance where Overhaul is, but doesn't do any significant damage. Midoriya realizes that if he is touched by this man, it may be all over. The fight continues as Midoriya tries to use all of his fastest forms, so for one, he can't be touched by Overhaul's quirk. And eventually, his sword gets vaporized by Overhaul's quirk, and Midoriya has to fight hand to hand. His body gets covered in fire, and he begins to basically land clean blows on Overhaul, but nothing that would knock him out for good. Midoriya then misses a punch slightly, getting his arm disassembled and destroyed. Oh, my arm! My arm! He begins to basically panic as his arm is just completely gone. Overhaul just begins to laugh. Midoriya looks up, but it doesn't look like him anymore. His eyes turn this veiny looking red color, and his arm just begins to grow back. His nails grow sharp, and his very scream sends shockwaves blasting Overhaul backwards in his mindscape. What? Where am I? Am I dead? No, that can't be. I just lost my arm. Yeah, you're not dead for sure. Definitely not dead. What? Who was that? Oh, I am Tanjiro Kamado. Nice to meet you, Izuku Midoriya. Wait, how do you know my name? I mean, you are my reincarnation. What is happening right now is your demon form has activated. Not exactly sure how it works in this world, but you are going berserk at this moment. What? How do I stop it? You can't necessarily stop it, but you can control it. How? Give me your hand. He grabs his hand and begins to see the life of Tanjiro and what occurred when he went under his demon transformation. But I don't have an antidote. Yes, but this is different. You aren't a demon. Only demon-like. Just remember why you are a hero. Remember, what are you doing this for, young Midoriya? Spine-like protrusions emerge from his body, slamming and knocking out Overhaul. Midoriya, are you okay? He looks at Mirio and screams, sending Mirio back a little bit. The Midoriya within can actually now see throughout his own eyes, but mostly blur. Calm down, son. Everything is fine. We are so proud of you. You truly became a great hero. Mom? Is that you? Yes, it's me. I missed you so much. I know, but we can't stay for long. But just know, me and your sisters and your brothers, we're proud of you. And so is your father. We're all proud of you. His eyes begin to tear up and Midoriya collapses out cold. He wakes up to see Mirio sitting in Recovery Girl's office. What happened to me? Well, I'm not sure. You kind of went berserk and lost your arm. But for some reason you had it when you were going berserk, so I'm not sure how it became like this. He shows Midoriya and his arm is basically looks like a dead weed. I'm not sure. What about Eri? Is she okay? Yes, she's actually asking about you for the most part. Midoriya finally is allowed to see Eri. She actually gives him a big hug, thanking him for saving her. She sees his arm though and begins to cry. Don't cry, Eri. It's okay, I promise. She continues to cry and she touches his arm. She activates her quirk by accident actually and rewinds his arm back to before Overhaul actually destroyed it. Aizawa quickly deactivates her quirk. Whoa, your arm, it's fine now. You did that, Eri. You made my arm better. She begins to cry once again, but seemingly happy tears. She hugs Midoriya and basically is happy to have someone, and Midoriya himself is happy to basically have saved someone so defenseless from a man that cared so little about her, making him feel like he has made his family and, most importantly, his mother proud.
I don't wanna waste what's left.